Litter. Who did you meet, my darling young one? Bob Dylan. 15:05:40, Los Angeles, California. 05:10:2014. What say we call them, daughter? Anwar asked, handing over his phone. Ahead, washes of orange had started to slow everything. More and more brake lights, too, even spinning blues ahead. An accident? Maybe an arrest? Since they had left Century City, the rain had gotten worse, or louder, heavier for sure. Dibs on next song? There's something preferable to Stravinsky. And please, spare me the news of how many messages I have. Xanther didn't spare him. And the new dog shall track down Mr. Mephisto, and then we shall. What? Delight and dread had made a bird-like trill out of Xanther's voice. Anwar told her the number, which Xanther dialed after the latest call stopped flashing. Galvadine Incorporated. 000 000 0000. Xanther's never thrilled about talking to strangers, but the call to the breeder, trainer, seller didn't go badly exactly. The breeder, trainer, seller, a woman, seemed pleasant enough. Too pleasant? The kind of pleasantness that's finally just a little too hard to believe. Your sugar lady's right here, waiting to meet you, waiting to say hello. Just get here safely. Sugar lady? Say hello? Animals don't say hello. They don't say anything. Ever. And as far as names go, Sugar Lady? Seriously? Anwar was all assurances about changing it, but the lady's voice, especially the your, had gotten under Xanther's skin and made her all squirmy. She just wanted to get there, or at least get somewhere else, other than this gnarl of traffic and flooding gutters and police cars, anywhere but here, which is actually one of those early warning signs, even if it's never true enough to mean anything other than buckle your seatbelt and consider biting into the shoulder strap too. Xanther started to skip through the radio stations. 102.7.
KIIS.
We're the fucking animals. She had plenty to be squirming about other than the onset of an attack. What Dendish had done to Bayard, done to all of them on Parcel Thoughts, in the horror sphere, was still strobing in her head, their slashed faces, all the bone fragments, and blood. Everyone except Cogs. Lucky Cogs. Not that Bayard, Clay, or Josh, or even Mayumi seemed worried enough to mention it in their texts. They cared more about the dog. School was almost out anyway. Dendish was in 8th grade. Come fall, he wouldn't even be at Thomas Starr. 103.1.
KDLD.
Te juro que te amo. Plus, none of it was real. The butcherings were just the result of an app. But then there was that stuff about Glasgow and Talbot had been whispering about. That wasn't the result of an app. Relic? Or was it Relic? In House, too? Wasn't there a series on TV about a doctor named House? Not that he could have helped this R guy, because R guy was dead. Really dead. Killed in an accident. Or cut up in pieces. How many pieces? And this would be some kind of message. What a message. 105.9.
KPWR.
Wait till you're announced. Dark enough to fill Xanther's head with a new rush of questions, even if she was also remembering, and at the same time, too, Anwar's warning about how the thing in Paradise Open, what had been tracking her, how it had never tracked her along the path she'd made in the tall grass, as Xanther had expected, but had come at her from the side, Xanther not hearing anything, let alone catching a glimpse of something. Anwar's creation, leaving Xanther in the end to just watch a game over float forward in the midst of all that code. Talbot's kill spray. Maybe a similar thing had happened to the R guy, though not to Dove. Dove knew what was happening. He knew what he'd done. 106.7.
KROQ.
Bringing me a dark surprise. Dove loved dogs. He would have loved to know that Xanther was getting a dog. he would have wanted to know all about it, and that started up a new question song. Not all the question songs are bad. 88.1.
KKJZ.
Makes the wind blow all the while. What would the dog look like? What color coat? How much would it weigh? How heavy would it get? How much would it eat? How often would it eat? Would its breath smell? What would its hair smell like? What would it smell like when it got wet? How long would it take to dry? 89.3.
KPCC.
Before I sputter out. Why was Xanther even calling it an it? Hadn't the woman on the phone said it was a female? Isn't that the only thing Sugar Lady could mean? 89.9.
KCRW.
'Cause you found someone like, none of which compared to the biggest question of all. What kind? 91.5.
KUSC.
La voce più confiante, riante, che si bendò a désir. Xanther knew some names, but not like she knew shapes, the shapes she'd seen around the neighborhood, in movies, on TV. Great Danes, Dalmatians, poodles, labs, German shepherds, pugs, golden retrievers, chihuahuas, and there were also those ones smooth as gray felt,
Weimaraners,
or with their faces squished and tucked,
Sharpays,
or like a wandering haystack,
Lhasa Apso,
or with floppy feet and wide, agile eyes,
Cavalier King Charles Spaniel,
or a tiny lion,
Pomeranian,
or mountain wrapped in the warmest snowstorm,
Old English Sheepdog,
or rabbit-eared and bronzed,
Jolitz Kuingtui,
or Mr. Hatterley's Archimbaldo.
Bull Mastiff,
So many questions, so many possibilities, so many stations. Stations on stations and hiding station too, right? Because there are only ever the numbers for this area. Thought those a state over. 2 states over, so many states. And if Xanther could hear them all at once, would that sound like forever? Maybe if Xanther arrowed fast enough through all the stations, it would sound like all at once. Wouldn't that be a sound of endlessness? A sound that's really only one thing. And could a dog be imagined that way too? All types experienced as one type. Probably a good thing that Anwar put a stop to these thoughts by waving Xanther's hand away. Good timing anyhow. 93.1.
KCBS.
Jack FM. There. And one of Dove's favorites, too. Everything okay? I keep wondering what breed it is. Xanther should admit to Anwar about how off she's felt the whole day. About the horror sphere. Anwar beams. Very soon, daughter. Which is when she feels it. At once, too. Unwelcome. From the end of time, from the beginning of time, coming her way. As if all this time she were stalked by a great sadness. Led Zeppelin helps steady the sensation. Crying won't help you. Xanther turns it up. Anwar at once tries to turn it down. Dove would have turned it way up. For all his quiet, Dove loved her music. Was it hers? More like Dove's. Though wasn't his either. No question a lot of it had come through him. Though Xanther didn't know whose they were when she first discovered that box buried under sleeping bags and incomplete tents, deep in the back of that downstairs utility closet where they had lived for a summer in Montana. Xanther had played every LP on an old turntable before she found out they were her mom's, before she found out even that wasn't quite right. As it turned out, Astaire had taken them from Dove, who wanted them back until he found out how Xanther listened to them all day long. Sometimes at night, too. All night once when she discovered her headphones. Les parents were mystified. But why wouldn't she want to stay up all night, stay up forever? There was so much to meet. The Rolling Stones, The Doors, Black Sabbath, Jefferson Airplane, Rush, Bob Dylan, Bob Marley, Aerosmith, The Band, AC/DC, Jimi Hendrix, Simon and Garfunkel, Jimmy Cliff, and of course Led Zeppelin. Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, and Willie Nelson didn't do it for her. Janis Joplin was okay. What Xanther liked most was wailing heaviness. She liked to feel it thump on her chest, inside her chest, heavy as thunder. Xanther loves thunder. Today's storm, for all its rain and wind, shared no thunder, not even a hint of lightning in the distance, making this radio, loud inside the element, feel like a necessity. Praying won't do you no good. Like Dove would have listened to it, on 11, in his totally silent way. And then Anwar had just turned down the music, again, and Xanther was cleaning her glasses, again, or trying to, futile really, all fogged up, lenses now just smudged thanks to the corner of her pink black flag t-shirt, way damp. Not that it matters much. The world is a smear even with wipers on high. How she feels all smeary too. Are there wipers for that? And then something suddenly wails up inside her.
It is inside her.
Sounding like,
It is far away.
close, but not near?
What calls on all?
Far, but not anywhere. Yet so familiar to feel almost forever there. Daughter, will you read that street sign there? Xanther slides her glasses back on. She hasn't heard a thing. Her head's just doing its usual act of making stuff up. Electrical storms killing off thoughtless mites. Breathe, Xanther. Like Astaire taught her. Like they've all taught her. Traffic has come to an absolute standstill. Here in the heart of Venice. No reason why either. No construction crews. No police lights this time. Just the overwhelming flood, right? Gutters surging over sidewalks. Palms snapping back and forth with every sudden gust. Some fronds even fly free, spinning into cars, setting off alarms. The corner post sign is a wash of blue, cross-hatched with streaks of white. Dad, if a game engine is like all the parts that make a game run, like all the parts in a car engine that make a car run, what's the gasoline? Darling, the sign? Cracking the window was a stupid idea. Nothing gets clearer. Why did she just ask Anwar that? She didn't even realize coding was still in her thoughts. Xanther shudders and shivers. Anwar turns the music off. No luck? No luck. Xanther can't see a thing, can't hear a thing, except for that one cry that still isn't a cry. Plain and desperate. Diminishing further in its non-existence, now the only thing Xanther could ever hear. Cutting through everything, as if all of this might not exist at all.
Nor ever could exist.
But for a curious thing.
Voice of the frail.
Voiced by the dead.
Quiet and little. Pleading and needing and crying for help. Of course Xanther doesn't hesitate. Jerks open the door, spills out into the storm. No idea where she's going.
No idea what she's doing.
Of course.
We must.
Except she must get there fast. Blinded, feet flying over pavement for
For what?
For?
For.
How many raindrops?
Xanther can't even feel the storm, and it instantly penetrates, slapping down on her shoulders, filling her converse, soaking her hair, one elastic snapping free of a braid. The rain falls so hard it seems to leap up from the street, chest high, eyes high, hovering between gravities, a storm gone backward, sideways, a storm that ceased to care what a storm should be. Xanther doesn't care either. Besides, was there any doubt she'd leap from the car when what she imagined was answered by what now had to be so real, and when what was real turned out to be in so much trouble? Of course she took on the spray, no Frady K now, racing through all that churn, the thick ropes of gray water overrunning the pavement, river running alongside the curb, twisting off the tires of parked cars. The intersection ahead plays a lake. Holes can hide there, but do they? Maybe even deep holes? How deep? Xanther could scrape off a kneecap. Maybe she's already breaking something. She's never run this hard and still picking up speed. Xanther charges the lake. Might as well walk on water. Who's walking? She's racing. And even if she can't outrace rain, she's outracing questions. Cars honk. Sirens somewhere near stab away for bad news. Garbage cans clatter loose their collective disorder. And still, through it all, as if in flight or just falling, one singular note of distress. Mournful, meek, and expiring. Though it's never been a question of volume, only a question of presence, its diminution somehow spiking through to Xanther with increasing clarity. Or was it all just adrenaline, hammering her heart? It doesn't matter. Now she's sprinting, blindly, over lake after lake. Cars jerk to a halt. Multiple screeches, this chorus of protest. Not the shock of almost, only the anger of. But Xanther pays no mind. Leaves another intersection behind. Another corner too, and then it's down the block. More than a slope. This one's steep. Steep enough to accelerate black water, heavy with trash and hazards, towards still another intersection. Below there, another growing lake. This one making puddles out of the rest. Where she's headed. Toward. Except time's against her. It will go under.
It?
It.
Knees and palms suffer the fall, but Xanther can't feel the way her jeans tear. Skin splits and spills, those old scabs and bandages from all her previous falls ripped loose at once, lost to the water, streaming past these slabs of concrete, both shins going dark with the seep. Barely a thought strays to follow her glasses bouncing away, bits of broken frame and lenses skittering off toward gardens and lawn. Xanther's already up again, running as fast as she can, the memory of the fall already gone. Like her loose braids, both now coming undone, her long arms are flapping too, out at her sides, uncertain and wild, like she can fly. Another slip, skids, pulse spikes, but this time she keeps on her feet, as she keeps drawing nearer and nearer and nearer and nearer and nearer and nearer to what her heart keeps telling her to reach, pounding past the thump of heels of even muscle. In silence. 2. In silence. Now. Everything. Silent. Those scattered glasses now catch nothing but smears of grays, greens, and blues. How a hedge and cherry trees look. By toppled recycling bins, there a broken garden lattice, a swing torn loose from a porch. Xanther still, somehow, knowing how not to look, maybe for the first time. Blur doesn't matter now. Instead, everything coming down to those rapids ahead, churning around a storm drain, clotted with muck. What else to make of that mash of birds' nests, weeds, cut grass and leaves, plastic wrappers, bobbing water bottles, that otherwise familiar blob of trash, maybe including by now her clotted bandages, blinding her to what this instinct.
Isn't it something more than just instinct?
To what this claim upon her.
Something fashioned.
This desire.
Something ancient.
Has positioned her to see. Even if still all Xanther sees is water. Lots of water. And garbage. Lots of garbage. At the base of the curb, above this grate, rising up, overrunning the curb, even while underneath, the water keeps trying to push through to the sea. Xanther drops to hands and knees, scrambles into it, digs, tries to let fingers find what eyes deny. Ears, too. And then, just as the blockage starts to give way, Xanther catches a feel of something down in there, briefly. Of the litter, from the litter, equal parts refuse, equal parts out of place, incredibly soft, almost too small to believe. So small. Thank goodness for all those leaves, like a trap or a cradle, postponing briefly this last slip through the grate, a tiny tangle of something, pinned there against metal's rough bars. But with so much water sluicing down, with so much force, whether trap or cradle, leaves still fold and give way. Trash makes no exception. The flood flushes the clot down. And yet Xanther goes with it, shoving her arms down faster than the flood, through that great gate, past her wrist, past her elbows, without even a thought, up to her armpits already on her chest, all of her laid out flat, half of her on the sidewalk, the other half in the gutter, not even recognizing the pain already abrading both palms, carving up the inside of both forearms. Xanther plunging through litter, grating, and all that rushing water to find it, reach it, and bring it back. This something small. So small and white, too, improbably white, with flashes of pink, triangular, and whiskered. Are those whiskers, or, struggling then with a flutter of paws, their last? Feeble pause. So feeble. What a moment ago had almost slipped under, slipped through, only to be lifted, implausibly so, from the dark, burying cement below, current below, separated in its fall, at this last moment from the descending rest, dragged up by bleeding hands and bleeding arms into this questionable air. There, in Xanther's palms. One palm, actually. Easily. On its back now. Oily. Limp. 4 paws in rigid hooks. Fixed. Eyes pinched shut. This tiny creature's mouth a breathless gasp, revealing not even a glitter of teeth. Too late. Too late. For Xanther, then, a rainstorm cry, clutching to her chest all she has already lost. This time, not even a quiver to die by. Xanther alone is quivering, cradling, wailing.
Too late.
Too late.
And powerless to arrive otherwise.
15:14:9, Los Angeles, California. 05:10:2014.